When John Wayne walked onto the stage of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, the applause was thunderous. The audience didn't just see an actor. They saw a legend, a symbol of strength, a man who never backed down in films like True Grit and The Searchers. But that night, something was different. Under the bright studio lights, Wayne's famous swagger seemed softer, slower, almost fragile. Across from him sat Johnny Carson, the king of late-night television. Carson was known for his sharp wit, quick jokes, and ability to make any guest laugh. And at first, that's exactly how the interview began. Light-hearted stories about Hollywood, horses, and the Old West. The audience laughed. Wayne smiled. But then Carson asked a simple question. "Duke, after all these years of playing the toughest men on screen, what scares you the most?" For the first time, the studio fell silent. Wayne shifted in his chair. His massive hands that had held rifles, reins, and Oscars, rested quietly in his lap. The confident grin faded. His eyes, usually full of fire, seemed distant. "I'm not afraid of dying," he finally said. "But I am afraid of being forgotten." The words hit like a gunshot in the quiet studio. This wasn't Rooster Cogburn talking. This wasn't a cowboy riding into the sunset. This was a man nearing the end of his journey. Wayne had battled cancer. He had endured surgeries. He had faced critics who misunderstood him and a changing Hollywood that no longer looked like the one he built. The industry was shifting. New faces, new heroes. The old Western era was fading. And with it, perhaps, the myth of John Wayne. Carson, sensing the weight of the moment, didn't crack a joke. He leaned forward. "You won't be forgotten," Carson said softly. Wayne looked at him, not as a celebrity but as a friend. And in that glance, viewers saw something they had never seen before: vulnerability. "I gave everything I had to those pictures," Wayne continued. "Sometimes I wonder if that's all people will remember: the characters, not the man." The audience wasn't clapping now. Some were wiping tears. Because behind the towering legend was a human being who had sacrificed privacy, health, and peace for the screen. A father, a husband, a man who carried expectations heavier than any saddlebag. Carson changed the tone gently, recalling Wayne's Academy Award win for True Grit. The crowd erupted again, reminding Wayne of his legacy. But this time, when he smiled, it was different. It wasn't the smile of a cowboy. It was the smile of a man who realized he mattered beyond the myth. That episode would later be remembered not for jokes or ratings, but for truth, for showing America that even its toughest hero had a heart that could ache. When Wayne stood to leave, the applause lasted longer than usual. He tipped an imaginary hat, as he often did. But those watching at home felt something deeper. They weren't saying goodbye to a character. They were honoring a man. And years later, when people still watch his films, quote his lines, and speak his name with reverence, one thing is clear: John Wayne was never forgotten. Because strength isn't just about standing tall in the face of danger. Sometimes it's about sitting under bright lights and admitting you're human.